Minister, Information and Broadcasting and Senior Congress Leader Manish Tiwari taking on Seshadri Chari, Member of the National Executive and the Convener of the Foreign Affairs Cell of the BJP, and Times Now's Maruf Raza joining us from Delhi as well. Maruf, good evening. Manish Tiwari, thanks for joining us. Good to see you on Newshour after a long time. My first question is to Seshadri Chari. I mean, strange situation that you are in. An embarrassing situation that you are in. You go hammer and tongs and insinuate that the Congress wants to defend something suspicious in the Henderson Brooks Bhagat report on the 1962 war, and that's why this was not made public. Now, your present Defence Minister Arun Jaitley says exactly what he used to criticize the Congress leaders for saying. I mean, I won't even ask you today what your explanation is, but what is your excuse? What is your excuse, Mr. Chari, for doing what you're doing now, for this U-turn?
No, I don't think you are using the correct word if you say excuse. Explanation would be a better terminology. I'll tell you why. It is not Arun Jaitley who says this. We should look at it as the Defence Minister of India who has said it. And the Defence Minister of India said the same thing in the UPA government also. So
which
there is a reason.
Which
yes,
you criticized.
We did criticize at that time. We wanted the Defence Minister to come clean on it, and the Defence Minister explained that there are certain things in this report which he was privy to. We did not ask him why is it that what are you covering up? He said there are certain things that this report cannot be made.
Then.
Yes.
But you criticized them when they said that. When they said that, do you accept or not that the BJP was at the forefront of demanding the full disclosure of the Henderson Brooks report that looked into the 1962 war? You made the issue political. In the run-up to the election, you made the issue political.
Let me tell you. There were a number of people in our party also at that time who said it should be made, but I'm not going to pat myself on my own back. But I was one person who even tweeted that this report need not be made public now, and I had even said it in your program, sir, that don't make it an issue of discussion.
Sir,
at
it
this
was
stage.
Made. Sir, it was made. It was made an issue by your party. And was it made a political issue by your party?
No, we did not make it a political issue.
The problem with
we
the
wanted
BJP,
to know what is it that you are covering up.
The problem with
the Defence Minister came up and said that we can't even say what we are covering up. We are privy. The Defence Minister was privy to something.
So the problem is,
and today the Defence Minister is privy to the same thing to which the earlier Defence Minister was privy to. And I think if this Defence Minister
the present Defence Minister, should the present Defence Minister say that I came to conclusions at that point of time, talking about whether the Himalayan blunder of 1962 was a Nehruvian blunder, that I came to those conclusions on the basis of incomplete facts, and hence the BJP, because Ravi Shankar Prasad said we lost the war because of Nehru, he went on to say, what are they trying to hide by making the war report classified? You made all those issues on an issue of immense strategic importance to the country. You milked it politically, sir.
There is no difference
you milked
of
it
opinion.
Politically.
There is no difference of opinion as far as the role played by the Prime Minister at that time is concerned. That entire report and entire documents pertaining to that aspect is in the public domain in any case.
So if I may say so,
it is there in the public domain in any case.
If I may be permitted an observation here,
but that is only one part. That is only one part of the report.
There are two BJPs.
But that is only one part of the report. That is only one part of the report.
Doesn't matter.
That report is out in the public domain.
So
but to put the entire report on the public domain at this stage may not be in the national interest, and that is what the then Defence Minister felt, and that is what the present Defence Minister
Which you ridiculed him for. You made jokes about Antony.
Yes.
You raised questions about the Congress party's loyalty. You raised the question of motive.
Exactly.
Today people will question your motive. It appears to me today that there are two BJPs. There is one BJP before the election. There is one BJP after the election.
No, it is not. It is not. The BJP is the same. The Defence Ministers have changed. That Defence Minister came to a particular conclusion. This Defence Minister has also come to the same conclusion.
Manish Tiwari, you're hearing this. Of course, I mean, you may choose to pull your punches today. Because obviously you know that my follow-up question will be, what stopped Indira Gandhi from releasing the report? What stopped Rajiv Gandhi from releasing the report? What stopped P.V. Narasimha Rao from releasing the report? Right? What stopped Dr. Manmohan Singh from releasing the report? So before you actually go on the aggressive today, vis-a-vis Mr. Chari, please understand, your one foot is already in quicksand on this issue, Mr. Tiwari.
My dear friend Arnab, may I start off by thanking you for the health warning that my one foot is already in the quicksand. But may I very respectfully remind you that on the 19th of April 2010, in my capacity as a Member of Parliament, I had asked the then Defence Minister the same question as to why the Henderson Brooks report is not being made public. And the answer which I got in writing, which is available on the website of the PRS, essentially said that it is top secret, and because there are operational reasons, therefore the Henderson Brooks report cannot be made public. Now, after that, you had excerpts of that alleged report being printed in a newspaper, and you had the Bharatiya Janata Party going hammer and tongs, saying that the report should be put into the public domain. Now, this is an institutional question that after 52 years of the 1962 conflict, are we as a nation mature enough to handle whatever conclusions Henderson Brooks may have come to or not? I'm sure that nobody would dispute the fact that in 52 years the strategic landscape has changed. The border situation has changed. So therefore, I cannot countenance as to how something which was relevant in 1962 strategically is relevant in 2014. And in fact, if you look around the world, most countries, after a gap of 30 or 40 years, do declassify documents. So therefore, it's not a question of joining issues with Mr. Seshadri Chari or with Mr. Arun Jaitley. I think it's a larger institutional question as to how do we deal with documents, which have historical value.
No, don't broad-base the issue.
I
find there is a very ominous attempt that both of you are. There's an ominous thing that you are doing.
To deal with them in that context, rather than making it a political football. I think that's the germane question.
Mr. Tiwari, there is no need to make it political football, because what is going on is a simple case of factual football. You did not make the report public for 52 years. Why didn't you? Is it because you were hesitant to reveal the extent of failure of Jawaharlal Nehru vis-a-vis the decisions that were made in the run-up to and during the war? How do I believe? Was it because you are embarrassed about the failure of your Congress party political leadership at that time?
Unwarranted conjecture, Mr. Goswami.
How is it unwarranted, sir?
How is it unwarranted?
How is it unwarranted, sir? And did you question A.K. Antony when he told you that this was an extremely sensitive document of operational value which he cannot disclose to you in his reply to you in 2010? No, sir, Mr. Tiwari, the fact of the matter is you said nothing, you kept quiet. You raised the issue, yes,
Goswami,
but you kept quiet.
If you finished with your question or your diatribe, would you allow me to respond to that? What I had tabled was a parliament question. I do not decide whether it becomes a starred question or an unstarred question. If it would have been a starred question where you could ask supplementaries, of course I would have asked the defense minister on the floor of the House as to why is he given a reply in a particular manner. But
so
that's
what are you all hiding?
The question is,
what are you all hiding?
How do we intend dealing with documents which have historical value? And this conclusion that you've come to, that the document contains inferences with regard to the former Prime Minister of India, I do not know how do you come to those conclusions. Have you seen the document? Have you read the document? All that is there are certain alleged purported leaks of that document which were published in a newspaper. So that's
Sir, don't run it down. Don't run it down.
Conjecturing and rather than insinuating,
sir, I am not conjecturing.
Why don't we as a country, and this is not about the BJP and the Congress, why don't we as a country take a policy view with regard to historical documents and say that, look,
sir, this is not about historical documents alone. This is about the reality of the 1962 war. And dare I say today, it appears to be a political conspiracy between the Congress and the BJP. both to argue on behalf of each other to deny access to a document that is 52 years old. Maruf and GD Bakshi, I'd like to get you into this debate. Maruf, to you first. This Manish Tiwari is trying to obfuscate the matter, Maruf. He says it's an issue of how we should look at declassified documents. No.
Yes.
I want to know about what went wrong in the 1962 war. And Manish Tiwari should know that war after war and conflict after conflict in country after country, if from the Falklands War to the all the wars in which the US was engaged, to the Crimean War and how Britain defeated Russia, everything was made public in a few years. It's not like their strategic interests were ever damaged. No, one second, Maruf Raza, what are the politicians trying to do here?
Therefore, Arnab, before you go to Maru and pontificate the issue, that's exactly the point which I've been pleading all these years.
So then what are you hiding?
Why don't you, take a policy call and after a certain number of years, set a cutoff, 3 decades, 4 decades, whatever you think, goes beyond the threshold of your operational readiness, and after that put the documents out in the public domain. So where is the obfuscation?
Sir, the obfuscation is that it has been 52 years since the 1962 war. It is baffling that Arun Jaitley in his written reply to the Rajya Sabha is echoing what Defence Minister Y.B. Jawan said in 1963. Nehru said there will be a comprehensive inquiry in 1962. What is the purpose of an inquiry if its findings remain hidden indefinitely over 3 generations? Now let me get Maruf in.
So therefore, you should ask this question to the current defence minister or his predecessors.
Mr. Tiwari,
I cannot be held responsible for what was said in 1963 because I was born in 1965 only.
No, because your argument, Mr. Tiwari, your argument is very convenient for Seshadri Chari. You have given Seshadri Chari an escape route.
No, I don't want to come in.
Therefore, what's it? Seshadri
Chari
now Maruf.
In fact,
what happens
into a political football.
No, it's not political football. Seshadri Chari can say one thing before the election and one thing after the election and say I got access to facts.
No, it's not. It's a fact.
Demanding that the Henderson Brooks Report should be made public.
So you were not in power
about various things. Now they are in a position to be able to do that. So therefore, not only the Henderson Brooks Report, let them take a policy call, involving all the stakeholders with regard to what is the threshold limit for putting, confidential or secret documents out in the public
I don't know. I don't buy this. I don't buy this at all. I don't buy this at all. Because I don't buy this at all, sir, because the Kargil Review Committee, certain parts of the Kargil Review Committee have been made public, submitted on 15 December 1999.
Certain parts, not the entire report.
Give me certain parts of the 1962 report.
And certain parts of this report is also in the public domain.
Sir,
therefore, that is what I am saying.
Not officially.
I fully agree with.
There's a difference between being in the public domain against the government's will, and there's a difference between declassified.
I agree with Manish Tiwari on this one thing. Let us have a broad-based discussion on what is the threshold limit for putting out.
Of course, you'll agree with him.
No, it is not that.
Of course, you'll agree with him. You'll agree with him because it will not. Because now you don't have to answer using that argument.
No, I agree with him because he makes a logical point. I may not agree with him on all the points, but on this one point, sir, he is making a logical conclusion of it. So to that extent, I agree. What is wrong if we agree on a logical point?
What is wrong is the basic question today, Mr. Chari, is your stand now saying we will not reveal the report completely proves one thing, that you were in the run-up to the election opposing for opposing sake. 1 minute. Your tall claims of seeking total transparency, full disclosure on strategic issues, taking the people of this country into confidence, etc., has all been proven wrong. And I'd like to remind you, and I want Maruf Raza on the debate, this is the second time that the Bharatiya Janata Party, this is the second time that the BJP has prevented the public disclosure of the Henderson Brooks Report.
We are still committed to that. We are still committed to that. But we cannot do anything that will endanger the national security of this country. We cannot do that. That is period.
Then tell me why Rajnath Singh during the 50th anniversary of the 1962 war said the people of India have a right to know why the government could not protect India's pride and national interest?
Yes.
Why did he say the BJP demands that the Bhagat committee report should immediately be
Yes, we still want to know that. We still want to know that.
You want to know that,
but what report to be made public?
So you mocking a mockery
what is to be made public and what is not to be made public is what is to be debated and decided.
Well, if it was to be debated,
we cannot.
Why did you make it an election issue? Why did you make it an election issue?
We did not make it an election election issue. We wanted to raise this issue.
No, sir, you made it an election issue.
And the defense minister at that time gave an explanation. We took that explanation, but after that we have not made it an election issue.
Sir, you made it an election issue.
As far as the failures of the Prime Minister at that time, 1962, is concerned, it is all in the public domain.
Okay, gentlemen, Maruf Raza's turn, and then GD Bakshi.
I would like to object to that.
Maruf,
Arnab, 1 second.
Maruf, please, Maruf. Manish Tiwari, 1 second. Don't hijacking the debate. I'm going to Maruf next. Please.
You cannot hunt with the hare and hunt with the hound. You know, with regard to the failures of the Prime Minister, the alleged failures, where do you get that from? On one hand, you're not prepared to make the reports of make the report public in contravention of your stand, because now you feel that it is going to impact national security, and then you insinuate about the role of the former Prime Minister. I mean, that is absolutely not only unfair but completely unethical. As to where do you get that from? Which report says that the former Prime Minister was responsible, for what happened in the 1962 war? Of course, there's collective responsibility of cabinet. Nobody runs away from that. But to single out a particular person and target him in an unfair manner, I don't think is either comes from a sense of responsibility or a sense of propriety.
Or take it back.
No,
take it back. You want to take it back?
This report, we do not know the contents of this report as of now. But what is more important is there are a number of other reports, also the guilty men of 62 and so many other reports. And those people who were in the theatre at that time, who have confirmed to all these things, they have taken a collective, in their collective wisdom has said that it was the government of India presided over by the Prime Minister at that time who went wrong in certain decisions.
So that's your guesswork. You're guessing.
It is there. No, there are records. There are records. There are records.
Manish Tiwari is countering you again. Manish Tiwari.
May I remind you, the difference between the Henderson Brooks report and the other accounts is that the other accounts are unofficial accounts. There may be biographies, there may be autobiographies, there may be narratives. Okay. But this was an authentic study, an internal study commissioned by the Indian Army. So therefore, there is a difference between those historical narratives and the Henderson.
But Manish, for God's sake, that is exactly what I'm saying. If this report, Henderson report, is made public, all those things which has been said about Mr. Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru will also be confirmed. But over and above that confirmation, there will be some other matters, some other issues, some other subjects, some other facts which may not be in our interest today will also come out. We don't want those things to come out. But that does not absolve Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru or the defense minister or the cabinet at that time. That is exactly what we are saying. And with all due respects to Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, our first Prime Minister, let me say, Prime Ministers can go wrong in decisions.
Yeah, like Vajpayee can go wrong. Vajpayee could have gone wrong.
Yes,
Vajpayee could have gone wrong in the run-up to the Kargil report.
What is important is, if this Henderson report is made public, it will endanger the national security in some extent. And to that extent, we don't want this to be done now.
I'm sorry, politicians.
If there is a time, for this, you can make it later, but not now.
I don't buy this at all.
What the defense minister has said now,
I don't buy this at all.
Is not now.
Sir, I don't buy this at all. Politicians release reports, declassify report, put out parts of reports when it is convenient to them.
No, we are not talking of politicians. We are talking of governments.
Sir, whatever you are talking as politicians.
We are talking of governments.
Sir, there is none of you have been able to explain to the people of this country why there is such a compelling reason to keep this report secret.
That exactly what is cannot be explained.
Really?
If that cannot be explained, it will not be explained.
Really? But the Kargil,
this is not the time to do that.
Really? And it was the time to reveal the Kargil Review Committee report submitted on 15 December, unclassified version of the report with security-based deletions tabled in both houses of Parliament on 20th February 2000, because you knew when you submitted
that was not the complete report.
No, because you knew
that was not the complete report.
Yes, but you knew
whatever was to be reported to the Parliament was done.
Sir, you knew that whatever part...
Even now, some parts of the Kargil report is not out.
Be fair to the Indian Army.
No, be fair to the government of India.
Sir, be fair to the Indian Army.
Be fair to the government of India. The government of India is ultimately responsible for the security.
Be fair to the forces, the people who fight. The Kargil Review Committee report was put out because you knew that by putting parts of it, you can no longer, Vajpayee would have come under criticism for how Vajpayee's actions could have led to a situation where your intelligence, border management and defense management could have had a lax attitude leading to Kargil. 1 second, sir. I know you're sensitive on Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee.
No, it's not a question of sensitivity.
But when you want to give politicians a clean sheet, then you put out commissions. When you want to keep the blame on the Indian army,
you are putting words into me. So I have not said these things. I am not. It's not the question of sensitivity. It's a question of the security. It is a question of security and strategy of this country. The government of India and the defense minister knows best.
Okay, Maruf.
He is under
Maruf. Now let's go to the army men, please. Maruf, you're telling me your operational strategy. You're telling me operational strategy of 1962, Maruf, according to the gentleman here, could reveal something about a current strategy. I mean, if India's defense strategy is static since 1962, then we should all be dead worried, shouldn't we, Maruf? What's the real reason here? What's the politics at work in your view?
I've been waiting through this debate. It's a case of both politicians blind leading blind.
They're both talking of strategic issues.
Please remember the terms of reference of the... Sir, please hear me out. The terms of reference of the Henderson Brooks Report, which was basically authored by Lieutenant General Henderson Brooks and Brigadier Prime Bhagat, later General Prime Bhagat, both Indian Army officers, was only to look at the tactical things that went wrong. And the Indian Army officers and one ex-army chief, at least on this channel, has admitted that he has read a copy and seen a copy of that which lies in the military operations. So the lessons have been learnt. What strategic lessons were drawn by that report were negligible, if any at all. And the bureaucrats that guide the hand of ministers, both, I am willing to stick my neck out and say that neither Mr. Antony nor Mr. Jaitley would have read the report before giving a national statement that the report has issues of strategic importance which cannot be revealed. All lessons have been learned by the army, otherwise we'd be a third-rate army if we hadn't learned the lessons in 50 years. We've amended on them. We put new formations in place. We put new defenses in place. We are ready to face the Chinese challenge. This was a report about how Nehru, Krishna Menon, a certain number of bureaucrats, including the then intelligence chief, and a certain number of generals misled the country into a forward policy. We got a slap on our face.
Make it public.
Since we've moved on. I don't see where there is this obsession to keep it secret. Please also remember that the Ministry of Defense put out the history of the last 3 wars with Pakistan and quickly pulled it off the net because our bureaucracy is not up to sharing information or intellectual pluralism. I agree with Mr. Tiwari when he has said that he asked for more details and he was given a rebuff by saying this is of national importance. We traditionally, in our corridors of power, we classify everything as top secret because we don't want it to be declared in public domain. We are the only country in the world which calls ourselves a democracy but doesn't declassify information. It is shameful. And why we are trying to hide, it is very clear that Nehru and Krishna Menon felt that if the report went public, then it would by inference declare them as people responsible for the mess that was 62. There is nothing more than that. And I'm amused that the BJP has taken, and Mr. Chari is defending the indefensible.
1 second, GD Bakshi also wants to come back to the debate. 1 second. Let's get the generals to have the point of view, please. GD Bakshi wanted to come in as well after that. General Bakshi.
Arnab, may I kindly state that this is a classic case of governments may come and governments may go, but the bureaucrats stay on forever, and it is they who call the shots, and it is on their advice that a report that should have been released about 20 years back, declassified at least 20 years back, is still, under the WOPs for no rhyme or reason. It is a tactical level operation. There were 5 divisions from the Chinese side, 3 divisions from the Indian side. The entire tactical picture has undergone a sea change. Just because we had a political dispensation which felt that there could never be a war with China. Till as late as August 1962, this government was telling the army to forget about a war with China. There is no question of a war with China. We are a non-aligned nation. It is a nuclear world.
Why would the Congress people? Are you saying, GD Bakshi? GD Bakshi, do you think politicians don't read up before they make comments in Parliament? Do you actually think Arun Jaitley would not have known what was sensitive before he stood there in Parliament and made that comment? I think that's a bit presumptuous to say that. I think Arun Jaitley would know before making that comment that he would be contradicting what he said in his own blog. So I think a person like Arun Jaitley would be extra careful. He would actually want to know what is in this report, that he has to take a U-turn on his own position. Mr. Bakshi, let's be logical about it.
He's being guided by the bureaucracy.
No, Arnab, I would like to say...
Who's guided by the bureaucracy?
In the case of Mr. Arun Jaitley, it's a clear case of, information overload. It is a clear case of, the span of responsibility being too wide, far too wide for however accomplished a human being, however accomplished minister he may be. He cannot handle the finance ministry and the defense ministry together. And as
I think on that part, GD Bakshi, let's not be a little presumptuous here, because Arun Jaitley has been a lawyer and he would have handled enough briefs to be able to give time to each particular brief. So when he stands and he says that we can't do disclosure of the Henderson Brooks report, Arun Jaitley 100% knows he's totally contradicting his position of March 26, 2014. He knows that questions will be raised about what he said then and what he's saying now. So both you, General Bakshi and Maruf Raza are saying it's impossible, that he's been misled by the bureaucrats. I want to ask you, it's easy to say misled by the bureaucrats, but who are the bureaucrats here? And why would they mislead the government on this? What is their interest? Who are they defending? Some bureaucrat of 1962?
There is a bureaucratic inertia. The position is taken because of certain notings on the file. It just continues. I mean, trust us. We have been at the receiving end of this for years.
Maruf, GD Bakshi, just let's pause for a minute. Let's go one by one. Manish Tiwari, let Manish Tiwari come in first.
Yeah, may I come in for a moment? You see, I primarily have just 3 points to make. You see, the first is that, after both Maruf Raza and General Bakshi said that it's a tactical level operation, which involved some divisions from the Chinese side and some from the Indian side, and then to extrapolate and come to the conclusion that the then political leadership have told the army that there would never be a war in 1962 with China, I think is fallacious and erroneous. The second thing is that the dramatis persona of 1962 are all dead and gone. They're all long dead and gone. So therefore, a sober view needs to be taken, and ultimately it brings back to the point both Mr. Chari and I have been raising earlier, that a policy view has to be taken, irrespective of the bureaucracy or the political leadership, that what's the threshold of classifying or declassifying documents. I think that's the long and short of the issue.
No, Arnab,
I can only hear myself in my ear.
Mr. Tiwari, there is no, Mr. Tiwari, sir.
Maruf, please.
It is well known that Nehru...
No, you are talking of
Mr. Tiwari, sir, it is well known that Nehru never expected the Chinese to attack us. It is also well known and recorded that Krishna Menon told the army chief that I've asked you to throw the Chinese out. It is also well known that Nehru and Krishna Menon in particular, with a few of his lackeys who were military officers who had sold their soul to the bureaucrats and the politicians, even monitored operations right to battalion and brigade level. The report talks about how Dhola post was asked to be shifted by the defense minister when a post comes maximum the commander. Read Brigadier Dalvi's Himalayan blunder. He talks about how there was monitoring, how Bogi Sen was bypassed as Eastern Army commander.
That's exactly the point that I've been making. That you do not have an authentic account. All you have is either biographies, autobiographies, or concurrent narratives. There is no authentic historical account.
There are people who have seen the report.
Whether all these conjectures are correct or not, or the interpretation or the
tragedy is that people who comment on the report, the people like you who defend the report, haven't gone into the details.
Record in the public space.
Sir, historical records are written after operations are done and often done to suit
written by people who were dramatis persona at that point in time. I'm not saying with a jaundiced point of view, but primarily from their point of view.
No,
I
sir,
don't know what you're defending, sir.
Why
on
can't you make
it? You are saying that, the report should be made declassified. On the other side, you say there's nothing really to look back at the report and let's move on.
If the military strategy was flawed, if Nehru's policy was ill-conceived, if mistakes have been made, General Bakshi, yes, the question is today, why are we being so cagey about putting all these facts in the public domain? I wonder what it is that is so secretive. Because there will be one fear that bureaucrats were trying to decide military decisions sitting in Delhi, which is what Maruf hints at. And he's right. It was written at that point of time that the general staff sitting in Delhi were ordering an action against a post 1,000 yards northeast of Dhola post is astounding. The country was not known, the enemy situation vague, and for all that matter, there may have been a ravine between the troops and their objective. This is something like the charge of the Light Brigade. Now, if in the course of revealing these facts, I am saying tonight, some bureaucrats and politicians have to be exposed or embarrassed, so be it.
The charge of the Light Brigade.
So be it.
Well, that's exactly what the point is. You see, even if there are certain bureaucrats or other people who made erroneous decisions, those people are long dead and gone. And I think their successors can possibly take a very sober and a very historical perspective of the whole context.
Been used, the entire situation may have unfolded differently. And the Air Force was stopped at the level of the Prime Minister, who chose to take the advice of the American ambassador and not the Air Chief or the Army Chief. The Western Air Command, the Western Command.
Well, that's again a conjecture as to whether the Prime Minister took the advice of the American ambassador or he took the advice of the Air Force Chief. I mean, these are all conjectures and insinuations that would be uncalled for. I don't think any serious researcher...
One at a time, please. First of all, Maruf, please wait for your turn at this side of the debate, because if we all speak together, nobody can be heard. One second. One second, please. 1 second, Maruf. Just a minute. Gentlemen, just a minute, gentlemen. Just a minute. Seshadri Chari is asking you today, General Bakshi, and you answer him directly. He's asking you that you make a grave allegation such as the Prime Minister then listens not to the Army Chief and the Air Force Chief, but the Prime Minister of India listens to the American Ambassador. He's asking you today on what basis you are saying that. 1 second. What's your question to him? Exactly. He's putting a question to you. 1 second. General Bakshi, don't respond.
Where are those records?
Where are those?
Records.
Which record?
On the basis of which General Bakshi is saying this? I want to know where is it? Is it an official record released by the government of India?
It is there in the accounts of Mr. Malik. B.M. Malik, the Intelligence Bureau Chief. Please read. It is available all across. There are 5 Chinese official histories.
Good, General Bakshi, thanks.
1 second. Now, General Bakshi, listen to it.
Adequate number of
General Bakshi, listen to it.
Of dramatic persona who took part in that war.
General Bakshi, listen to it. 1 second, Manish, let Seshadri Chari respond to General Bakshi.
General Bakshi, see, I fully have great respect and regard for the thinking of Mr. Maruf Raza and General Bakshi both. They have been on our side many times. But what I'm trying to say is, let the security establishment, security think tanks and persons who are concerned with strategy and security in this country try to understand one thing. I am not in any way protective of the Congress government. I don't have to do that. That is not my business. But when the defense minister under the UPA dispensation and the defense minister under the new government, they both come to a conclusion after seeing a particular piece of paper on that report, and if they conclude that this report in its entirety as a report, lock, stock and barrel, cannot go to the public domain as of now. It was all the defense minister and the UPA.
52 years.
52, it may be another
years.
If it may be another 50 years.
Tomorrow you'll say military tactics of Mohenjo-daro also.
No.
You know, tomorrow you'll say
Therefore, let us decide. Let us decide.
Let us today decide. Secret.
Let us today have a debate and discussion. These things cannot be decided in your studio. It has to be decided in the parliament.
But how didn't you say
let us say
you
it.
Didn't say it then. You accused. Did you or did you not accuse the Congress government of did you accuse the Congress government of hiding facts or not?
No.
Did you accuse the Congress government of hiding facts?
What we said was, why this report cannot be made public?
What they were trying to hide? Do you owe an apology to the nation for that?
The issue raised was, why not make it public? But at that time also, there were people in the Congress who wanted to make it public. There were people in the BJP. Let me say, I again put it on the record. I am not patting myself on the back, but I had said at that time that this is not the time to make this report public.
So are you saying that those who said at that point of time, including Arun Jaitley, including Ravi Shankar Prasad, including Rajnath Singh, who said make it public, who said we lost the war because of Nehru, and what are you trying to hide? Are you saying those people were, 1 minute, let me complete, that those people were irresponsible in doing
No, they were not irresponsible. They were making a point to that extent of making that report public. But we did not know that this report, if it is made public, it will compromise with certain things, that security formulations of this country, and we have unresolved issues.
Come to you now.
These realizations will come once you see the file, and the minister is under oath under this constitution, and the minister is not supposed to tell the people of this country what is there in the file.
What you are saying today is close the matter. What you are saying today is close the matter.
No, we are not saying close the matter. Discuss in Parliament as to what is the threshold limit to which we can go. All documents pertaining to 50 years or more can come into the public domain. Let the Parliament decide. And all those documents pertaining to pre-50 can come on the public domain, and it can be discussed.
What is baffling to me is that you are even opposed.
Make it 40, make it 50, make it 100.
What is baffling to me is that you are opposed to even a partial disclosure of the Henderson Brooks report.
No, there cannot be.
I wonder what great secret lies in that report.
But what is partial and what is not partial? Which part is to become public and which portion is not to become public is also to be considered by the Defense Ministry and other security agencies in this country. And if they can come to a conclusion,
it will be with the media by tomorrow.
I have no problem.
The report will be with the media.
Let the report be. The Henderson Brooks book itself says.
I think the right solution would be that this report is once again vetted and screened, and I'm very sure that the bulk of it can be put in the public domain, less a few paragraphs and sentences here and there, which may affect your negotiating position, because the dispute is ongoing. Otherwise, the bulk of this report, over 90%, should be fit for dissemination now in the open domain. You can keep back those things which you feel will affect your negotiating position. That's it. The rest is all.
That question is to the Newshour viewer tonight. Arun Jaitley is a person who uses his words very carefully. He had said, he had written that with the wisdom of hindsight, I am of the opinion that the report's contents could have been made public some decades ago. Now, when he's in a position to actually do that, he says, I can't do it because it's not in the national interest. In your view, ladies and gentlemen, should this report of 1962 be put out lock, stock and barrel? Do we have a right to know or not? Thank you for joining me on debate number 2 on the Newshour tonight.